Good morning, Knox friends. It's been a long time since we've been in touch. I have been in the process of trying to work on a year-end prayer letter, but it's been an interesting time to try to wrap things up in a letter. There's a lot going on, and hard to summarize all of it. So a little bit about the last year. The kids are doing great. Kevin is now 17, Miriam 14, Matilda 12. Each of them is heavily engaged in their own teenage lives and making all sorts of fun trouble for us. But things are going really, really well. Family is doing well. Everybody's engaged and nothing to complain about really. This year has been marked by COVID, just like I'm sure your year has been as well. Various waves of freedom and then constriction. And so that's marked a lot of our ministry as well. It feels in some ways like this year has been a bit more of a plodding pace than normal. Part of that, to be honest, is due to the fact that I have a helper now in Ben Ellis, who's been a great right-hand man. He's taken over the youth ministry and he's done a really good job with that. This has been the first year that his first year was last year, but this year he's been able to take a little bit more initiative and organizing some things independently. He organized our summer camp, our English camp, together with another partnership with another church, and that went really well. Really forged some strong bonds between our youth group and other youth groups, so that now, for example, on our youth night, youth groups from the area that don't meet on the same night will come and attend our youth group, and then our kids will go to attend their youth group in the same week. So it's really cool to see how relationships are growing between the various youth groups, and that's something that's always been, there's kind of this metaverse within Estonia, this I call it ecumenia, because it's not really about ecumenical, writing ecumenical documents or talking about how we'd like to be united or anything. There's actual crossing of boundaries and people working together, and we see this particularly among the youth, and especially now there's less and less tradition-based identity and more identity based around common commitment to Jesus Christ. And so that's been really cool to see that our kids are now kind of getting wrapped into that same sort of thing. I'm sure that'll be an investment that carries them forward into their Christian lives in the future as well. So in addition to pastoral work, pastoral work continues to go on. I've spent a lot of time this year in discipleship, especially discipling people that have had troubling times, difficult times, or coming through difficult times or out of difficult times. So there's been a lot more kind of one-on-one discipleship with people. I think the fact that I have that freedom is partly due to the fact that Ben is helping me out. So that's been a really good thing. I've also spent quite a bit of more time this year mentoring young men within our union who we've been actively, as a union, trying to improve our mentoring system. And so that's something that I've been offering here. Couple of young guys that are in other churches in town, and then some of the fellows that are here in our region as well. So mentoring, individual discipleship with folks in our church, and then also I continue to do church consultations on the church consultation team. So I have a couple of churches that I'm working with at the moment, and then a third church that I've been doing all my research in, and that looks a lot like a consultation most times. So it's been a busy year, but not a lot of major news highlights to report. That mostly just kind of day-to-day stuff, chunking away at day-to-day tasks. Something new this year for both Leah and I is that we've been invited to be more involved in the seminary and to begin to we're taking a more active role in the Bible school, which is kind of the entry-level education, theological education. And that's really a way of kind of scoping us out and letting us scope out the system to anticipate some more involvement next year. They're asking Leah to consider being the coordinator for Bible school, which is really just right for her gifting set. She's in the process of discerning that. And then they're asking me to be on the teaching team, which is something that I'd love to be involved in. So I'm also ramping up to participate in the seminary teaching. So I'll be teaching a couple of courses, team teaching a couple of courses this year, and I think they're scoping me out to see, whether that's a fit or not. Part of it, of course, is a language issue. I'm not so worried about that. And then part of it is just figuring out, do we fit as a team? So that's part of what's going on this year, kind of in anticipation for next year. You may have heard now that I will be setting down my pastorate in September of next year, September of 2022. And that's something that I knew was coming for quite a while. Even really from the very beginning, I knew I had a pretty strong sense that I had 10 years to do the sorts of things that I felt I was being, that God was asking me to do for this church, which is really to encourage, to lay the foundation theologically and practically for elder-based leadership, for improving the elder leadership in the church, so that whether there's a pastor in the future or not, the church can continue to thrive. And my sense at the very beginning, and it's been confirmed recently as well, is that at some point I needed to step out of the picture to give them the chance to really decide what format to move on in. I really do hope to be in some form of assistance to the church. It depends a lot on who comes next or if somebody comes next. So I don't see us extracting ourselves completely from Rapla. This is always a touchy thing. When one leaves, it's the end of a chapter and there's the beginning of something new. But it looks a little bit different in Estonia than it does in the United States. There are different forms of succession that I've seen, and part of the complication of this year is trying to figure out what that looks like. When I was dating Leah, I messed up big time because I didn't understand the differences between the cultural expectations. And I hope to not make those same sets of mistakes in preparing the Rapla Church for succession for the next move. So that's taking a lot of my time and focus this year. What will come after September 22, 2022, is that I will be working on completing my PhD, doing my final writing and preparing for defense. I've got lots of great data that I'm sorting through right now and transcribing and translating and coding and all of that kind of thing, and I'll be writing that up over the course of the next year, and I'll probably take a couple of months from September to December of next year to just write and to try to get that all buttoned up. So that's the plan. I've also been elected by our region to be the regional coordinator, which is a bit like a Presbyterian exec, I guess. So that will be starting, I'll be taking that on beginning in September of 2022. And a lot of that, I think, is going to be about pastoral care for our pastors. Typically, that role is an administrative role, and there will need to be some of that as well. But we have decided as a region that one of the things that we really need to pay attention to is pastoral care for pastors. So that's really what I'm hoping to provide there. And then an increase in academic work at the Bible school, the seminary, and then hopefully also some international stuff with the university that I'm attending in Amsterdam. And boy, I mean, if I can put together the budget for it, I'd love to be able to participate in some things back in the States at Whitworth and maybe Gonzaga. And I don't know. I mean, there are lots of possibilities. I continue to write. I've had some fun putting out an interesting article this year that ties together some of my network studies with history of our Estonian church. I'll add that a link to that to my latest prayer letter. But just hoping that I can continue to make those kind of contributions and to hopefully do it in a way that will get me back in Spokane and the Pacific Northwest from time to time as well. So that's a lot about our ministry, a little bit about our family. There's more to say about the family. We'll be sending out Christmas cards, family-oriented Christmas cards, separate from the ministry-oriented prayer letter. Those are coming out quite soon. So anyway, thank you again for all that you've done to make it possible for us to do this kind of thing, to live in Estonia, for me to basically to freelance in areas that don't get a lot of attention. So I'm very aware, and increasingly so as time goes on, that that it's a unique freedom to be able to focus on areas that don't receive a lot of attention, and you guys have made that possible. You guys and other supporters in the States have made that possible. So just a note on our support, we took a $500 raise, quite significant, but we have intentionally kept a very low profile in terms of income from the United States for years, for a number of different reasons, really mostly to try to match what people here are making. But we have, partly because of the supply chain crisis in building, which is also COVID related, I think. Prices of construction have gone up, so we've had to raise our construction budget. So this 500 will help us deal with the building project that we've got next door, which is moving along nicely, but really tied up behind material costs. And then basically we'll defray the loss of income that I will have beginning in September of next year. So because I won't be the pastor of the church anymore, I won't have a steady income from the church, which to date has been minimum wage, but it's something, and it also pays for my Social Security. So we're trying to account for some of those additional costs that will come into play next year. So that's the state of things at present. And our account is in a good place at the moment. I'm hoping to do a bit more of a fundraising push in the near future, just in anticipation of what's coming in 2023-ish, potentially for some more international travel and that sort of thing. That would be good. I anticipate that with regional ministry, I'll be doing a lot more driving, and so that there will be some additional cost associated with that as well. But that's the state of things at present, and we love you guys, love you deeply, care about you really, and blessings from us. We'll be in touch. God bless.